Hi, my name is Tiffany Richardson. I'm an ECW implementation specialist for Revell, and today I'm going to review the eClinicalWorks tips and tricks for providers. So, some underused functionality. Often I hear, really, I didn't know that functionality existed. During trainings conducted over the past few months, I've came to realize that there's underused functionality that providers are unaware that it exists. Some of the following areas that we're going to review today are the browser keyboard shortcuts, the Jelly Bean, cancel stop ERX request, order details window, the office window capabilities, common send window, and the right chart panel. Some keyboard shortcuts that I have identified are the Control R, which is the refresh the session, and the Control F, which is find. Note that these are only available in a browser environment or the 11E environment, and you'll know the difference in the environments quickly just by looking at your ECW platform. You'll see on the left band, you have a left navigation band with all your items here, whereas in EXE, you will have this menu band will basically be laid out across the top. So only in the browser environment can you use the keyboard shortcuts. And the reason is it is based off of Google Chrome, and those keyboard shortcuts are built into Chrome environment itself. So that's why you can use those keyboard shortcuts within your browser environment. So if you hit Control R on your keyboard, it's going to refresh your session. So if your session is hanging up, or it's lagging, or there's a page that isn't loading, or it's hung up on a page, Control R is a good way to refresh that session for you. The other one is Control F for find. So if I hit Control F and I type in dizziness, for instance, I can see where on the page dizziness is documented. This also may be used within your resource schedule or multiple areas within ECW as long as you're in the browser environment and you're able to identify certain words within the environment to identify where those words are, help you locate it a little bit easier. So like if for a patient on the resource schedule, if you're looking for that appointment, you can easily just type in the patient's name and you'd be able to see that patient on the schedule. E-Jelly Bean, which is your e-prescription bean. Most pharmacies have the ability to send refills and change requests electronically, streamlining productivity. Imagine the time it takes to grab the fax, enter the telephone encounter, enter the medication refill or change request, assign to the provider, and send electronically. E-Jelly Bean functionality allows for you to refill those requests. You can refill change requests. You can also review cancel responses. So refill requests, looking for an easier way to refill medication requests from the pharmacy. So you have different columns, type, status, provider, patient, pharmacy, drug, description, sent date, and facility. You can select the patient name and then you just complete the refill process. The change request, looking for an automated way to complete pharmacy change requests. You select the patient. Pharmacy provides best match recommendations to assist with selecting the medications. Select the response, then send e-prescription. Ta-da! Change request complete. Provider may select approved, approved with changes, or denied. As you can see in this image here, approved, approved with changes, denied, and then you just send e-prescription. The cancel response. You ever send a medication to the wrong pharmacy or need to stop a non-therapeutic medication? After electronic request is made by the practice to stop or cancel a medication, the pharmacy will send a cancel response that they've received the request and have canceled the medication in their system. Places to cancel the stop electronic RX is from the patient hub, go to logs, e-prescription logs. You can do it from the treatment screen and you can do it from the right chart panel. And I'll demonstrate that for you. So if you're trying to view your e-Jelly Bean, so you're just going to select your bean itself for the E. It's going to take you to the e-prescription window. Across the top of the e-prescription window, you have multiple tabs up here. It automatically, by default, when you select the e-bean itself, it's going to take you into the refill request window. From here, you would be able to see all those refill requests that are out there. If you wanted to view change requests, you could do the same here, and you would just select the patient, and then you would be able to complete the change request. And then cancel responses. So if you send that electronic medication, you send a cancel response to the request to the pharmacy, you will get a response in this bean to identify that those medications have been successfully canceled. So to be able to cancel a medication, there's 3 ways that you can do that. I'm going to just go ahead and go into a patient chart, and you can do this from the patient hub. So doesn't matter if you're in the chart, you can just look up the patient, go to the hub, you can select logs here, and then you just select e-prescription logs. And then you'll have this window pop up. And again, this is a training data set, so we won't ever have any live patients or any scenario where we're sending medications electronically. So this would never fill up for us. But if you had electronically prescribed a medication for a patient, you would see an option here that says cancel with an underline underneath it. You would just select cancel, and then it would pop up a message. Are you sure you want to cancel? Send a message to the pharmacy to cancel this medication. You say yes, and it cancels that medication for you. The second way to do that is from the treatment screen. So I am going to add medication to my treatment screen that was already on the patient's list. I'm going to go to treatment, and then I'm going to select the medication itself to open up the medication window. Once I'm in the medication window, I'm going to go to the status, and I'm going to change the refill to stop. And then when I select OK, I'm going to get a pop-up that shows the e-prescription logs where then I can cancel that medication. The third option to do this is actually selecting the S button, and I had all my medications disappeared because I canceled that medication. But you're going to select the S button in the right chart panel, and then when you select the S, which indicates stop, it'll ask you, do you want to send out a cancellation for the lisinopril? Say yes, and then you get the e-prescription logs again, and you're just going to select cancel. So those are 3 ways to to cancel a medication if it was erroneously sent to the wrong pharmacy, or it wasn't therapeutic for the patient any longer and you needed to stop it so they didn't continue to get refills on that medication. This is also another my settings set up in order to see the continue, the refill, and the stop option. That's within your my settings, and that's just really easy. While I'm in here, I will show you that really quick. It's kind of hidden. There we go. So in the views in your My Settings, so you're going to go to File, Settings, My Settings. And in your Views window, you have this Apply Medication Summary Modern View in these different sections. This section specifically is going to be this Progress Notes right panel. It's recommended to do Modern View for all of these, but there's different reasons why providers choose not to do Modern View. Often they're just not aware that this Modern View is available for all of these areas of the system. The other thing that I like to mention is these 2 options here, by date, by medication. So this filter, these 2 options will filter this here for you, it's the group by. So when you go into this window, if you want it by medication instead of by date, you can list it out by medication, or you can list it out by date. Just however you prefer it to be seen. You can still filter them, but it's just a difference in the view by default when you go into the note. Another area that we like that is underused is the order details. So looking for an easier way to reorganize orders to diagnosis codes. Relinking labs, diagnostics, and procedures requires that you delete the order, select the correct diagnosis, and then reassociate the order. Using the orders detail window, you may relink all orders and diagnosis at once. So when you're in the system, you can use it from the treatment screen. And from the treatment screen, you go down here next to send, on the up arrow, and then you select order details. Order details window will appear. I don't have other, so let me add a diagnosis because it won't let me diagnose some things under other. And then I'm going to add some tests. And I'm going to map them all to this immunization encounter, which is inaccurate. Okay, so now when I select the order details window, it's going to appear with my orders and of course any diagnosis I have associated. And if these are not associated correctly, you can go in and re-associate them or take them away or add multiple diagnoses to the same order. And it's just an easier way to manage your orders without having to go in and relink. Often I've mentioned the fact that maybe the possibility that providers could document everything under one diagnosis so that they can get the information and the orders in and then just go back here and add your other diagnosis and reorder them. The other area that you can access the order details window is also in the orders tab, and that's something that's underutilized as well. So from the orders tab, you have same options you have in the treatment window, but it's just a little bit cleaner and you don't have all the other um, noise from your note that you would see in a progress note. So you can actually do all of your plan and treatment basically from the orders window. So you can add your diagnosis, you can manage orders, and your manage orders window is going to take you to the same window that you're comfortable with it within the treatment screen. And you also have your order details window. And when you select the order details window, you can go in. This is the CPT ICD Association. You'll have to go over to the next one over, ICD order mapping, and then you can reorder your medications and your tests to the correct orders. And you can do a lot of that from here, a lot as well as quick order. So you can easily order medications, tests, whatever from this window, just from quick order. And mine, quick order, this whole bar right here remains no matter what section that you select. It's just a quicker and easier way rather than having to go into the treatment to actually just quickly order those medications or those diagnostic tests. Be mindful of the favorites because you can set up the favorites and identify those tests and those orders a little bit quicker if you have them saved as favorites. Another area that I've noticed is the office visit window. Looking to lock, print, and or fax multiple notes at once. Underused functionality often seen is right from the office visit window. Select all the patients that you would like to apply the function and select the option. Voila, all notes locked at once. You can print selected notes, you can fax selected notes, you can chart the group visit, which does the copy only. It's like using a template. Change the visit status or lock progress notes. So if I go in the system and I go to the office visit window, I can select multiple appointments. I then select this option next to view progress notes, and I have all of these options that you would have within your own progress note. So you can change the appointment provider for multiples, you can print those notes, you can fax all those notes if you have them going to one group. You can do chart group visit, which is basically using a template, and you can apply that template to multiple different encounters for multiple patients. You can change the claim provider for multiple patients at once, or you can change the visit status. And that is a little bit of a newer feature. Used to, you can only change the visit status from the resource schedule. This allows you to change the visit status from pending to checkout or anything like that. You can change it automatically from the office visit window. And then, of course, I mentioned lock progress notes. So you have the ability to select those notes. Once the workflow, basically, typically the workflow is that the provider go in, make their documentation, they'll mark the chart done, and then at the end of the day, they'll lock all their notes because they want to ensure that there's nothing else they need to add before the day is up. And so they don't want to lock the notes a lot of times until the end of the day. And the way to easily lock all those notes without having to go into each individual note is just to select your encounters and then lock progress notes, and it'll lock all of them at once for you. The next window is the common send window. You ever have a patient that requests medications to go to multiple pharmacies? The common send window allows the user to pre-select all the pharmacies in one window at once. When the medications have been reviewed and ready to send, you just select send. The key areas for this section is the modality, double click the pharmacy if not in patient preferred list, print the labels for labs to be sent off if you are sending off labs, and then you have your for patients tab as well. So within a progress note, we're going to go here to send, but you can find the common send window in several different windows, including treatment, in the send button here. That will take you to the common send window. You can access it down here from send, the common send window. When you're in the common send window, you have the ability to add your medication or to select what areas, what facilities you want your labs to go to, what you want your DI to go to. I'm going to drop a couple of medications on here so I can show you that you can do this for multiple items. All right. So we've got some medications here and some tests. Perfect. So we got a common send window. We have our medications, we have our lab, we have our DI. So we can easily go in here and select this option, and it's going to select all of those medications if we need to make the changes to all medications. You can then change the mode if you want to change that mode for all medications to say print or e-prescribe. You can do that. You can select the patient pharmacy if they have one listed here, and that would apply that pharmacy to whatever is when you select the medication and then apply selected, it's going to apply that patient's preferred pharmacy to the list. If the pharmacy is not in their preferred list, you can select the pharmacy area, and then you're able to go in and locate a different pharmacy that's already in your local compendium where then you can send that medication. Same thing with labs. You can change the modality. You can change the location where you're sending it. If there is if you need to print a label, you can print the label here as well. A good example of this, a practice I worked for once, we had patients that roughly would have 20 to 30 medications at times. And oftentimes they would have a couple of medications going to the mail-in pharmacy, a couple of medications they want local because they're almost out. And then this pharmacy has a good deal on that medication, so they want it to go there. And it becomes a little bit of a nightmare trying to track all those pharmacies and where they all need to go. So this is a great way to kind of get your nursing staff can go in there, add those medications, mark the places that the patient prefers those to go to, and then when the provider goes to send those medications, they just hit send and they're going to go exactly where they need to without having that delay because you're waiting to get those medications updated to the correct pharmacy. And I forgot to mention, I apologize, the patient tab. So there's patient orders, and I mentioned lab DI and medications. There's also progress notes. So if you have a specific place that you want this progress note to go to, you can also set that up in your common send, and then you can just fax that over to that facility. The next tab is for patients. So from here, you have your patient's education, the visit summary, immunization records, RX education materials, and you can select that and you can actually send those if it needs to publish to the portal or if it needs to print, whatever you'd like, you can do that as well. The next section is the right chart panel features. Is there an easier way to mark continue, refill, or stop for medications? There is a setting in My Settings views that enables the modern view for progress note right panel. This allows the user to switch from date, medication, provider filters on the right chart panel. The date filter enables the user to select continue, refill, stop a medication quickly. Some key areas are the overview and the DRTLA. So I kind of mentioned already the continue, refill, and stop with views, but you also have DRTLA, and oftentimes I've noticed that some of the providers are not aware that they can actually merge in the results right into their note from here. So the first arrow is just that encounter itself, that actual specific lab. The second arrow indicates that if you were to merge that into the note, it's going to pull up a specific number of results based off of whatever your practice defaults are set to be able to view on the progress note. So you would see kind of a running total of those previous labs as well. The exclamation point indicates that it's a high priority or a something abnormal with the lab. And if it has an O next to it, that indicates that the order has not been reviewed, so you cannot populate the information onto the note. So if you just select the O, it's going to open up the order. or you might have to select UDS because it's giving me a little bit of trouble with the O. So just select select the order itself. And when you select the order, you will see the information of negative, positive, whatever it was. And then you select reviewed, select OK, and then the results will be able to be published into your note. It'll take a moment to refresh. So I'm going to refresh the progress note so that those labs will be available for us to merge into our chart. So we select DRTLA, we select one or the second one. So I'm going to pull the cumulative report, and it's going to show all of the values if this was reported multiple times, which it wasn't reported, ordered but once. But if it had been ordered multiple times, you would see that. I'm going to go ahead and do the hemoglobin A1C because I've got 2 of those in there. And as you can see for both those dates, here's your reference range and your values. These are all set up as attributes. They're built into the trainer database that we have here. So if that's something you want for your practice to, if you're not getting interface lab results coming into your system, you can actually set up your own attributes and document those, and then you would be able to pull that information into your chart. And that is all I have for provider tips and tricks. I hope this has provided some benefit, if not, even if it saves you an hour of your day. Thank you for your time. And if you need any additional training or assistance, we're here to help. Thanks.